A lot of people love Miami, and a lot of people hate Miami.
Popular.
And they hate the Galaxy.
They have super teams. We're the only league that's like no super teams. I'm going to get fired, but this is...
No, you're fine.
I was going to say Garver's going to be on the phone.
You need it.
I'm just going to go on my soapbox for a minute. We understand it. We do. And we, I've sat with Don Garber and asked these questions, right? And I think the owners, these are smart people, really smart people. They get it too. The issue now is not worrying about excessive spend, right? Because these are billionaires who can make these decisions if they want to. The issue is how you spend. And what you just laid out is why it's virtually impossible, and why if you ever see an MLS team repeat, you go, that's a really damn good team. And they got pretty lucky along the way because everything had to fall into place. As you said, and I remember saying this in like 2007 when MLS got really focused on winning. At that time, I think it was called the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And now it's Champions League. But they were really upset that they were losing to Mexican teams all the time. And I would say, guys, if you're giving me and two other guys $3 and $4 million and everyone else is making $100,000, we can't compete against a Mexican team where everyone's making $800,000. It's just not going to happen. It's not basketball. It's not the NBA where there's 5 people on the court. They're like, oh, no. And then next thing you know, they do some study like 10 years later from some firm does some study and they're like, you should pay everyone like $800,000 and not 3 or 4 guys $3 million. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, idiot. So anyway, they get that. The league gets that. And all these mechanisms for spending have, one, created chaos a little bit, but two, it actually has hurt the American player too. So there's lots of ways to get foreign players into the league through, as you know, different mechanisms, spending with GAM and TAM and U22 and all the initiative and all that. But it's actually hurting American players now too, because Brandon Vasquez is a great example at Cincinnati. They want to keep him, but they can't keep him for different reasons. Next thing you know, he ends up in Mexico. He spends a couple years there and then he comes back to Austin. But for years, the league could have had a burgeoning star. And so I'm going to get off my soapbox here. We're here to interview you, but I understand the nuance. I respect the nuance, but we have to get to a point, and I am wondering if you agree, where we loosen it. We don't have to go crazy and take the guardrails off and say spend whatever. But if there's some version of a hard cap, or you worked in baseball where there's a luxury tax, if after you spend a certain amount, then you have to pay more and it goes to the other owners, I feel like the group would accept that or understand that. And, maybe I'm wrong.
No, there's definitely conversations. I think there's a realization among the ownership group that this is, if we're going to change anything, now is the time. And look, I would go back to saying that, like, we actually have the greatest parity mechanism of any league in the playoffs, right? Like, if you had the playoffs in England or in Spain, it wouldn't always be Man City and Liverpool right. and Real Barcelona, right? You'd have your Betises and your Villarreals get in there, right? Like we saw Red Bull last year, 7 seed, make it to MLS Cup. So like, we don't even need to be afraid of super teams, because you still need to make it to, right now it's October, November, December, and be healthy and be playing your best, right? In Europe or internationally, it's like every game is a playoff. So your first game in February, whatever it is, means as much as your last game. But for us, it's like, it's most important that you be playing your best ball when you get to the playoffs. And I think that should serve as a check for owners to be like, you know what? Like, you can't just spend your way to a title, because when it's crunch time, you got to be healthy and you got to have your bounces go your way. I think that's a great thing about American sports. But for me, that's like, let's lean more into that as a protection and a parity mechanism than making sure that we break up good teams, right?
Yeah. I mean, not being afraid of super teams, I think is the line of the day. It's right. I mean, they still have, you can be Miami for lack of a better term and still not win the cup, right? And so,
and by the way, Tim, people love that.
Of course,
like a lot of people love Miami, and a lot of people hate Miami.
Popular.
And they hate the Galaxy.
They have super teams. We're the only league that's like no super teams. I'm going to get fired, but this is.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say Garver's going to be on the phone.
You need a villain, like we often say on the podcast, like everybody, a lot of people love Man United, but guess what? If they don't love Man United, their next favorite thing to do is hate Man United, and so it's fun and it's great.